Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me this evening. Will I be an audible range from standing right here? That's good. You have my report on the financials for the middle school program. And I guess the first thing that I would like to do is turn to the change order. That's the page, it says change order. Just like this.
She's so sweet that she won't bite you.
So I have two main groups of change orders. One is simply a change order for the general contractor for cleaning work that this is final. The contractor owns partial cleaning. And they were asked by the school representatives to do the final cleaning of some parts of the building back in the spring. And total for this one is $7,136.
Oh, you got it. Good job.
So normally, you guys will do that final cleaning yourself. And it's the staffing. And current I would like to pass the contract. Let's move into the second category, A1 electric change orders. There were really quite a few of these. There's just 7 of them here, but some of them were combined. Some of them go through them. I'm going to highlight these. And these were items that John was working on and was waiting for some validation coming on that wasn't here. So they're actually quite old. We did check with CJL electrical engineer and make sure that Ken signed off on this. So let's take the first one, CO2. Within this change order, we have the first group is the tech head shop, refeeding the heaters, adding 4 circuits, adding the feed to the air heaters that was refed, relocating 2 cord reels, providing 2 additional circuits from the lighting panel, and providing an additional emergency stop. So all of those items add up to $5,204.80.
For these items that are requested to be done, or these items that along the way you decided that this needs to be done?
Mixed bag in the first paragraph there, because some of these were items the work wasn't shown on the drawings, and they needed to add additional circuits. But in
I get that from like moving cord reel.
In another case, the cord reels were installed where they were shown in the design, and the instructors came in and said, "We don't like it here," so they had to move it.
Does somebody approve that with an instructor? Who's the ultimate person that says, yeah, it's okay? The teacher just comes
The ultimate is really good.
I'm agreeing with that. That's not why I'm asking the question.
You're the ultimate.
Somewhere on the way, somebody requested it, but that's probably the question for our next. Okay, move on. I'm sorry.
Good point, though. But yes,
I would think that should be a chain of command that somebody should report to somebody else. I would think the instructor in the class should probably be approving the outline because somebody.
Yeah, the way that's commonly done, just for future reference, is you normally give your superintendent some authority up to a certain dollar value. And that always seems to work pretty well. And you can see in some of our reports, we have an approval column and a ratification column. And that's when you see the ratifications, is when the superintendent or the other designated administrator has given the authority to do that. Yeah, good point. And there are things like this, fine-tuning things that change your mind.
Sure, it's things like breakers you run into that obviously it's what it's different electives and necessary.
Well said. The second one is the easiest way to explain this one is there were walls being torn down on the architectural that weren't recognized on the electrical. So the general tore down the walls as he was supposed to, and the electrical had to go back and do repairs locally. So that's $4,946.12. Next one, EC4, that is the cost of working around some of the ad hoc work you guys have done over the years where you pull cables across the ceiling, turn on the ceiling and the cables fall down. It was some of that kind of work. That was,
The quick question on those two, just, and it's just maybe the way they're worded, but the damage that results from the demolition, I mean, is there any culpability or something that falls into the general liability of the demolition contract, he damages a portion of the building that is not supposed to be damaged?
no,
I
if
get
it's
a
something,
hidden wire that somebody pulled through a block, but,
no, if it's something
this
that
raceway, that
there's some
raceway.
recklessness on the part of the demoing contractor, he destroys another client's work.
Yeah.
Or your property, no, we make you pay for that.
Like four, I get, if there's stuff that's through a hollow block wall you didn't know was there, you pulled it. Number three, a raceway. Raceways usually a visible track hanging from the ceiling, so to damage that, say I didn't see it, that seems less likely, because you don't know the kind of raceway with a block wall.
This is a service, not a raceway.
Okay. So they didn't see that before?
Oh, no,
started tearing
they
it?
saw it, but the demo people from the general contractor said, we're supposed to demo the wall. So that means the raceway is gonna get relocated anyhow.
Alright, so there was an awareness, it wasn't just they were not involved, or they're not doing it.
No, they weren't reckless about it. Like I said, when we do have somebody who breaks something or breaks another project work, then it's that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would like to try to answer here. I do have a question as far as these damages, what you're explaining. I understand what you're explaining, but I'm wondering as a general contractor, how would these not proceed? How is the cost not foreseen ahead of time? I understand that you have them in place to something, but I don't understand why it's a cheaper, you know, it's fast like that. But I'm looking at a lot of these, especially the results of the estimates, you know, that there's not a cost related once that wall is done with that back in. That's why I'm just surprised that it's cheaper than not saying after that. So that's been understood before.
I think what should have happened was the electrical engineer should have said, these raceways are going to need to be removed. Include the cost in your bid to remove these raceways. And then if the wall was moving or changing shapes or changing composition, there would be a cost to reinstall those raceways, and that wasn't there. So this, I would put it into the category of a betterment, which is, it was work that needed to happen, but it wasn't in the scope of work. So the school district never paid for it. It was something that needed to happen, and you received the value of the work.
Should have been foreseen those first costs.
Should have been foreseen.
Should have told if I understand cost as much as, that's what I understand. I don't understand why it's coming out, but we should have told the cost as much from the start.
No, that's not correct.
Okay.
What should have happened is the architect and the electrical engineer should have been synced with each other.
And isn't that the general, that's what I'm trying to understand why it wasn't all that from the beginning. Right.
It should have been. It wasn't.
Okay.
So we had the architect and the electrical engineer, then so that basically it should have been in their report what the cost, or at least noted.
Should have been in the contractor's bid.
So that's in the bid, right?
Yes.
So since we full time do it, because we know it's a lot of water for us, we made the decision that we can pull the wire instead of offering the district the opportunity to work ourselves.
Okay, we'll make some two changes on it.
Okay, all right.
So I feel
Let's do EC 3 first. Oh, yeah, it's 4 now. This one's done months ago.
Now, I kind of get what everybody's, if it was in the bid would have included more, the bid would have. Yeah, so some of that, one of them is, there's always a contingency, because there's always gonna be things you can't see. In an old building, nobody's gonna be able to look back at the old plans, because they don't update them as Jeff does, it's like a wire, just go back to the drawing, drawing platform. So, I mean, that's why you have a contingency, this percentage, so it's there. One is a matter of, was it need to be done, the other one's negligence. So, if it wasn't negligence for somebody who did something that broke something they should have, it's gonna be hard to catch everybody in this time, the walls of 7-year-old building.
Yeah, and I do think that the key is as you're sitting back deciding on, it's important to lock in on, was there an additional value that you can see? And sometimes there's not, right? Sometimes, like, let me give you a for instance, years ago I did a project where a beam wasn't designed to hold the right capacity. The bricklayers started laying brick on top of the beam, and the beams started bending. So they started putting 2x4s under it to prop it up. And they kept on bending. Then it got to the point in engineering terms where it exceeded its elastic modulus. So it bent forever. It didn't go back to where it was supposed to go. That is an error. You didn't get your value. So in that case, the design professional has to pay for the correction of their error. The interesting part was the original beam that was designed was the wrong size. So to put the right size beam in, the owner's still obligated to pay for the right size beam. So you have to pay for the bigger beam, you have to pay for the better. With me on betterments now? Okay, good. So on ECO 4, this one is really, you know, more of an unforeseen condition where there's all this wiring that gets pulled over the years. So we know how that goes. It's like this in every building. So, you know, once again, if you get in and you look to tear your ceilings out sometime in the future, there's probably going to be some unintended wire for the laying on the ceiling that isn't tied up the hooks that you're going to have to tie up the structure. ECO 5. Again, multiple items in here. First one is power to the electric boards. Omission, not included in the bid. Power to the smoke dampers. Again, omission, not included in the bid. Conduits that were obstructing the HVAC work. Nobody knew that obstruction was there. They had to be located. Switch to the pink-proof exhaust fan. I think they had some kind of automatic control and they decided to go with the switch instead. So that was a betterment and enhanced performance. So all these items together, 37, 89, 11. Any questions on that? Go ahead.
At what point does the design engineer assume responsibility for these things that for this?
For omissions?
Yeah.
When the number of omissions are so gross that you don't get the value of the market, that if you are putting a job out to bid, you put the whole job out to bid, every electrical contractor is competing for the work. There's an expectation that you're getting a good deal because everybody's pricing it competitive. When you do it in a change order, sometimes when you get an excessive amount, you start paying more and it could become a significant amount because there's no competition. It's the same price as a change order and you're paying the markup. So you can get to the point where there's an excessive amount beyond what you would normally expect in a construction project that, you know, I've seen some of my clients want to make a claim for having to pay an exorbitant amount for exorbitant amount.
So what is the design, what is relative values for the percentage of the total cost of the project?
We've always tried to stay within 5%. So we've always had a contingency that was at 5%. On this one, the contingency was a little bit lower. And I think it was a little bit lower because we knew that there was going to be a credit coming back in the roofing contract that was going to add to the contingency. And I don't know that it got you the whole way up to 5%, but I think you're still under 5%. So you're still in the industry standard for your changes.
I'll just ask that maybe one favor to everybody's point. If you look at page 7, where you kind of lay out the contingencies spread out over each of the contracts. If you look at the electrical contract, he was staying within the average margin of error or overage amount until September.
Yeah.
If you look at that bar graph and see how much higher it went, you can maybe check and see, oh, we right around our average contingency or not.
Well,
Because it seems way over for this complex.
that bar is not the 5%. It's less than 5%.
So blue bar.
So on this project, we opted to go for for less than 5% committed into what budget you wanted to spend.
No, I'm asking, can you just, if someone wants to just do a head check and make sure we are about at 5%, it's hard to tell, I don't know what our percentage represents.
That's the baseline. That's the
Yeah,
baseline, and we
correct.
would expect you to stay within the baseline. So the general contract is, really where. the
Correct,
excess-
yeah, I'm just looking at individuals.
So if we go
elected
to, we go to electrical
on
contract
page 7,
and look at that one, yeah, it jumps up simply because we're placing the.
and I agree, I'm asking if you just look at the average over time, and tell me if we were within our 5%, at some point, just get back to us on that.
I can, but I would say that these are cumulative, not instantaneous.
Mhm.
So, if it would have been an instantaneous amount, perhaps that would have been the case, but these are cumulative.
No, I guess that's what I'm saying, the total average.
Yeah,
Maybe just look at the numbers, it looks like there's a $30,000 savings up until September.
Correct.
So
Yep.
if we add that to the 45,000, that gets us to about 75,000, so it looks like we're within that. range.
Correct, right.
You know, it all says on the
but I'll take another look
Yeah,
at it.
just a question.
Yep.
Thank you.
The ECO6, ECO06, this is for, again, additional outlets in 1 through 155 and additional outlets in the robotics lab. I think this was just a matter of moving in and saying, we've got other stuff here, we'll keep playing about more outlets. So, when you getting back to the question about what you expect to spend on change orders, there's multiple parties that contribute to the change order. And sometimes you as a school district say, I want more. So in our cost, in our change order database, we do keep track of the causes of the change orders. We can issue that report to you, just so you can see how the breakdown is: unforeseen condition, over requested change, omission, error, etc. But all things considered, I do think the amount of change order spending was reasonable. I don't always see that. I see instances where the change order spending is much more high. The next one, ECO07. These were, this doesn't look like a really good description, but let me just say this. Bulletin number 2 was the reissuance of a bunch of drawings. There were 4 or 5 drawings that came out again with numerous changes on the firewall. I don't know what prompted that and why it wasn't picked up before bid, but this is obviously the largest change order you're approving tonight. And this is for a significant amount of changes to the firewall system at $14,666.07. And then finally, you see 008 is once again 5 separate change orders inside one. The first one is relocate the hose, the cord reels. I would put that in the category of high duty. The second one is 2 more circuits to feed those. 3 additional outlets, again, expanding your capabilities beyond what was anticipated. And then 2 more circuits to the wiring of the range hose. I would call that. So let me now put these into context. Let's go back to page number 1. So what this is showing is that you had an initial basic contingency of 329,000 at the basic contingency column, far left column. There's an additional 44,479.28 total of the items that I just read to you, up for approval this evening. That takes us to the point where we are 133,652.65 over budget. So if you go back to the next page, we'll put this back. It's important. Let's get 2 pages back to page number 3. You can see you have a balance available on your softbox, and it says right now that it's $62,995. there are still some pending costs that get to go against that, but I estimate that you're gonna underrun your soft costs by 44,184.86. So you can apply that against this overrun and end up being 89,467.79.
Just 0.006%.
So it's pretty good, pretty darn good.
On a $13 million.
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you. Let me just, if there's no other questions on the change, I don't want to take it, but let me just give you a little update on the status of the work. So, I made some inspections at the building, and I saw that they were still, back in August, they were still kind of struggling with the HVAC system. And a lot of it had to do with pressurization. There's two kinds of return air steam to do in a building. One is a ducted return. So you have a supply air duct coming out of your air handler, goes into the diffusers of that device up there on the ceiling, air blows out. And then most of the time, the return air is just pushed back into the ceiling panel, the space above the ceiling, and drawn back to the thing. In other cases, we have ducted returns, where there's actually a return air duct, similar to what you have in your house. The return air duct goes back to the unit. So it's a tighter system. At your building, you have a mixture of that. And in some cases, that mixture was causing the overpressurization. So just within the past couple of days, my man, Ken Kramer, has been staying with the job. And they made a couple adjustments where they put a couple extra ceiling grills in, opened up some dampers, and we seem to have the pressurization problem worked out. And that's an important thing. Some people just look at it and they see that it's a little hard to open a door every now and then. And that symptom seems a little unimportant, but when you want to make sure that your air is balanced and it's getting back through the unit, so that we're constantly bringing the air back into the unit to filter it and temper it, you can see that there's an importance to getting that out. So we want to make sure that that's that. Now you have UV filters everywhere, which is very good at killing any biological things that are in there. And you have a system, much better system than you've ever had. And I think it's probably the best system that you have out of any of your buildings, because we are dehumidifying the air before we bring it into the building and circulate. You'll remember a couple years ago, over at the admin building, we had the mold specialist in, and he was there to talk about how to make your mold go away. And he was working with systems that were just unit ventilators through the outside and exterior walls. That unit brings the air through the wall and distributes it. You don't always have a good chance of dehumidifying. And the humidity is what gets you to having the mold problem. So, very good system at the middle school. We just want to make sure that it's running tip-top, and every day it's getting closer and closer to that. But right now it's excellent. But I think that we keep on working on it. We'll keep more than this. Other than that, there was some bulletin board work that was being done. The bulletin boards that were installed were bending a little bit, so we asked those to be repaired. There was some mountings that weren't to our liking with some of the pipes, conduits, so we asked that those be repaired. And that was, I think that's all taken care of. There's a couple pipe leaks that got patched. You're still in your warranty period. You have a 2-year warranty. Most projects do a 1-year warranty. We like to do 2, particularly when there's a lot of HVAC work, because you have a couple seasons that you have to go through and make sure your units are running well. So thus far, minimal warranty claims, but we'll stay on top of it. Yes, sir.
The other thing is we walked through school that we saw, when we walked through West and John, he's one of pretty rough, and he was leaning heavily on him to come back and do a lot of work. I just don't.
I saw the same thing.
But since then, we haven't really, you know, with COVID, we were out. I mean, it was significant. And he was holding back money for the painter because it was significant. It
Yeah,
worked
painter-
really well.
Painter, he was kind of a rough customer.
Yeah.
And when I went through, I wouldn't even say it was a bad paint job. There were just areas that weren't painted.
Right.
Well, it was
It
not
was-
painted, and his prep work was really rough. Like they painted over all kinds of anchors, and there was just no prep work done. Nails on the walls, like every wall you looked at, there was something on it. And John was going back and making him redo it. I just don't know what happened since then.
He's been through back since I've been watching it. He's been back 2 more times.
Okay. Well,
And I
we'll see,
think-
he'll go through.
I think what happened, I think the general contractor finally said, I'm giving up on the painting stuff. He came and did it himself.
We just painted over everything up there.
Yeah, you know, if he would have been standing against the wall, he could have got painted himself. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I do have a question. On the issue of 07, you said you weren't sure exactly what goes to number 2. Why is the fire lines needed were made? Is there, I'm just curious, you know, and I would be to ask, is there a reason it could have been that they were not done correctly and by code it had to be done, and who's responsible for that? It's a big expense.
We did it right after, the contract was awarded. Right after the contract was awarded. So it would have been before the code official looked at it. It's very possible, and likely, that when the plans were reviewed by the building official for permit, for building permit, that flag, and CJL went back and reviewed that and revised the drawings. We can get that back. We normally, yes, our standard practice is that we like to have, not the permit, but we like to know that the plans are permittable. That it's just a matter of signing the application and paying the fee. For some reason, they were they get it to the so we had our bids before we had the drawings stuff.
So we can find this kind of
I'll check the dates on that and send it on.
So there is still a holdback.
There's no holdback on everybody.
Okay.
Except
This
this
one
one.
comes down until somebody with, who has a good eye, just will make sure we got it.
Oh, yeah, there's a holdback.
There was a question in this was good on, about a single thing out of 2000.
I don't know about that.
Okay, that's something you asked about, because that was cost,
Okay.
the numbers.
I talked to Mr. Paulson, and he said that wasn't part of the original project.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't,
But he said that Starbucks Frank went over, took a look at it, and it was supposed to come back, but it's still not.
Okay.
so I think we had agreed, because we were asking. So, yeah.
This is Happily Room 6?
Yeah.
Correct.
Somehow it got removed, I guess, because it's full purpose room for them, it's the room, it's.
Was one already for city?
I thought there was one in there, moved it when they full purpose room, they come back, that's what I.
Yeah, I know it's not in now, I checked, but
Yeah, I apologize, I just don't know, but Ken Kramer, he knows just about everything that happened, so I'll check with Ken, get you an answer. Should be
the plumbing is there, but
Yeah.
like, we need a pump that hook it up. It is,
Oh,
to get it, yeah. We can post it. Very fine.
Okay,
It's fine.
okay. So John thinking it's a problem, doesn't any other questions?
You mentioned that you had a list of this building we need to find it back to each one for certain common infrastructure.
Yeah.
That TC dash 022.
Yes,
And I wrote down this comment that you were asked not to necessarily, but asked for school representatives to be interested.
Todd and Brent.
So what is it?
Todd and Brent.
Okay, so Todd also in favor of the specifically asked the these things.
That's correct. And before I brought that to you, I checked with them to make sure that they agreed with that. Because it is unusual that we do that because schools usually have their own teaching staff. And they'll come in and do their fancy waxing job. They don't do it. Yeah, it wasn't, so I did ask them.
That was late in the, like when the kids were going back.
I think it was like December, January, and then the change order finally came back. It came in, I think,
I don't know.
Big amount. And I'm shocked.
It is a big amount.
I'm shocked that you were just,
That's a lot for food.
I'm not questioning the fee. I'm just saying for something that we have staff to do, that seems like a, love to understand more, really to get practice and stuff, but I don't think we have a why that's, because that's a lot of money. Right now, I'm just,
Any other thing?
The 2004.
Yeah.
Did we ever get it polished?
It's polished, and I think it comes pretty close. It's not an exact match, but I think, you were trying to match you had the old stuff, it was all discolored, and you put in the new stuff, and it was, perfectly clean. And you were trying to rehabilitate the old stuff, bring it a little closer, and you succeeded. Is it perfect? No, but it's you have to go looking for it to see that it's good. Yeah. I was like,
when do you think this is all going to
well, you're a kid, there's no more punch list like this, so you're in warranty.
done?
In warranty.
Other than the paint's protected.
No, I think the paint's done. Oh, okay, yeah. But I think we're waiting for the bulletin boards. Waiting for the bulletin boards, and we're waiting for a final balance report from the HVAC company.
There will be no more
And the faculty room sink.
So there won't be no more papers, we're not expecting to go past this point of
We're hoping you don't want to do anything else.
one of them.
We'd like to see you say, we're done.
Well, this is my first year on the board, so I apologize if this is a young question.
Go ahead.
This work is already done, correct?
These items,
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you say now? What do we need to put in the table?
that's simple. If you say no,
I'm just curious.
it's simple. If you say no, then we go back and we litigate each one.
You're recommending, you're okay with all the.
Yeah, I think that these were things that, and I did get an acknowledgement from the electrical engineer on all these items and the EC contract, that these were items that were popping up as they were going, and they were trying to respond as quickly as they were. Sometimes when you get a really fast moving project, which that one was, you have that, you kind of have that risk. When you have something that's more paced out, you have the opportunity to mitigate your risks a little bit more and avoid the change orders a little bit more. But it's a very, very quick design phase, just as quick as done.
It's really not when the fire alarm is going to fully pass.
No, I think it's in as much as there was a bulletin prepared and a set of drawings that were prepared. I think it's well documented that the engineer changed it. And the quotation came back and we evaluated the cost to make sure that it was fair. So I wouldn't see any reason to do a more forensic analysis of it. Anyone else? Sure. And again, no questions or dumb questions, and I know we've got some newcomers here, and it is interesting. At some point, this guy, he's got a handle on. He's obviously been around and understands. And sometimes, like John, sometimes could be. It seemed like he was being a little cavalier with it. It just had gone through it so many times. He took it very seriously, and was very confident that he was doing things that were in your best interest. That's our goal, to make sure you're getting there.
Certainly, you don't wanna go with just the macro, there's $14,000 fee, which you can pay regardless, but I will also say 0.6% on a $13 million project, of which this group approved $300,000 of change order goes through the money. If you remember, the group, to remind you some, as I remember, decided to put ceramic around columns, ceramic hallways. There was a bunch of stuff that was coming, that came in and asked us, we want to do this. We approved. So, you know, you look at that overall number, we would have been below, well below. Again, not to say that if there's a revenues charge, it's $14,000 shouldn't be anything. But in general, 0.6% at $300,000 on change orders. Pretty darn good.
I was like,
And you should, no, and you should, that's what I'm
That's completely fair.
but on a macro scale.
You know, some of you weren't around for how the whole process started out, but this goes back to, I think it was our study from 2014. So it went back quite a few years where we outlined all the things that needed to be fixed in the building, put price tags in the design. And you started going through the design process, and it started going the wrong way. And you reeled it back in, which was really good, because we could be sitting here tonight talking about how we just spent $30 million, but you spent the right amount, and you knew what you were getting into. There was a finite list of items, and frankly, some of those items were kind of vetoed at the scope inclusion phase, and then later you thought about it again and said, let's throw that in. So it's kind of like walking a tightrope. You can't take a perfect decision going into one of these things, and you just hope to stay on a straight line with the paper. I think you do that. I think you have a good project there.
I think it's mostly to acceptance that the way that it just goes.
Anything else?
Seems to be able to
Alright, can I get a motion to approve the change order for the amount of, say, $44,479.28,
I can say.
the first and second, any questions, comments, or?
Okay, thanks again, everybody.
All in favor, aye? Opposed, nay? Thank you. Does anybody have any personal questions before we close it? Does anybody have any questions about the attendance before we close it?
It's not really close to this.
We're taking.
What's going on next?
First, wait, is moving on, so is student council here this evening, is there a representative of the student council? Go ahead, raise your hand up. Hello,
Hello. Karina Quinn from Student Council. I hope you all are having a nice night. Can you hear me now?
Student council, you there? Go ahead, unmute, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We have our volume up.
Can you hear me now?
Just hold on, let us see if we got a volume.
Rome, that's what it is.
There's a volume turned down, so we'll try it again.
The floor was upstairs in the fence.
Is a student council, you go ahead and go, I think we might be able to hear you now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. Hello, Karina Quinn from Student Council. I hope you all are having a nice night. Student Council is getting ready for trick or treat night. You should have gotten an email from Ms. Bowen about what the plan is and how it's going to work out. But to summarize, trick or treat night is being held on the 26th. This event will be open to the public at 5 p.m. and will end at 6 p.m. For COVID-19 safety precautions, we are hosting this event as a drive-thru. Club members will be wearing masks and gloves to give out the candy to the community members. The community members will proceed to the high school, middle school, elementary school, and the primary center. The map for the trick-or-treat route will be posted to the district website on Friday, October 23rd. We are still accepting donations for canned food items for the St. Killian's Food Pantry during this event. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sounds like it's gonna be a great event. We're happy the student council got so involved with that one. Board reports, I don't think I have any board reports. To do an update, last week I mentioned the just-in-time fundraising dinner. There will actually be a pickup at the high school on Wednesday, November 4th. If that evening does not work for you, you can also select Thursday, November 5th, at just-in-time location on Route 8. Event for advance, several will already be purchased with them.
I'm 4,500. 500, so don't stop.
The whole slide on it, so support the foundation. Moving on to public comment. President next 30 minutes for public comment. If you'd like to do public comments, just raise your hand, we'll call on you. You'll have 5 minutes of submitting that. Does anyone have a public comment? So Jeff Maple. Go ahead, Jeff, if you can hear us, go ahead.
Okay, are you guys able to hear me okay?
Just state your name and your address, and then we'll have
Yeah,
5
sure. My name's Jeff Maple. I live at 213 Ashton Court in Mars.
Right.
Sure. The reason why I'm here this evening is to offer my concerns with some recent cuts that have been made at the high school level, specifically in the tech ed area. I have recently come to find in the last few weeks that that whole entire program has been cut in half, not just reduced, but cut in half, and eliminating 2 teachers full time, reducing us from 4 teachers down to 2. Yeah, I come from education. I'm 24 years into education, and these classes I feel are a must in the high school level, especially if we're to train our students in any type of pre-engineering fields. With elimination and these specific cuts, it's hard to train these kids and teach them what they need to know to stay ahead and get into those higher level engineering schools. With the cuts, we're only going to be offering, from what I understand, entry level courses, and the higher level courses are no longer there. Having a freshman just entering into the school, I'm a little disappointed because I looked forward for him to taking many, if not all, these courses that he can. The way that is right now, he will not be able to do that. I always know there's the argument of the vocational schools, but Go Tech really is not a substitute for these classes. These are students who would be more of a white collar student and career, and vocational really is geared more towards the blue collar, the worker right out of high school, the student that would like to go to a 2-year school rather than a 4 or a 5-year. So I don't see that as an excuse to cutting that tech ed program in half. Since learning that, I found that there were a total of 5.5 teachers cut from the high school. I found that to be a little outstanding. Programs taking a hit in art, English, science, phys ed, and foreign language. I do know there's financial hardships and making tough financial decisions, but as of recent years, it seems that the solution for the board is to take it out on the students and their programs and take away offerings from their education. And I just don't see that as a viable solution and almost irresponsible. On your website, your page for the board has your duty to create a policy for the development and success of all Mars area students. I just don't see how cutting programs consistently, cutting teachers consistently offers a success to all of the students in this district. With that, I'll leave you, and thanks for hearing me.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you, Jack. Have a good night. Is there anyone else with public comment this evening?
Sean? Yes, can you hear me? Yeah, hi. I actually wanted to comment on the same concerns.
Just state your name and address, please.
Sure, my name is Sean Scott. I'm at 129 Brighton Lane, Mars. We have seen this pattern over and over again over the last, 6-7 years in Mars. And I got to admit my own failure in not attending budget time meetings. It happens every year around April or May when we start hearing about what's going to be cut. And during COVID here, I guess I failed to attend those meetings this year. I have the notebook from every year where we hear about what positions we're going to cut. It's usually music, art, PE, and this year it appears to have extended into foreign language and of course tech ed, which is amazing considering the fact that all our competitive high schools in the area are stressing STEM education. And as the previous speaker spoke to, I mean, these are huge growing fields that we're trying to push kids into out of the high schools and prepare them for good engineering programs. And the fact that we're cutting these programs seems absurd. In the change orders, we're talking about additional plugs in the robotics room. But the funny thing is, we're putting less and less into that robotics room. And what it turns out to be is, it seems to be often the pattern in Mars Area School District is that we cut where the rubber meets the road, where teachers have a chance to make a difference, where programs have a chance to give kids opportunities to explore fields to continue beyond high school. So, just again, it's kind of the same message I've said almost every April and May budget time. We've got to focus as a school district on making sure we have the staff and the programs for the kids. You can put ceramic tile wherever you want. You can put more plugs in the room. If they don't provide kids with the opportunity to explore and to learn and move forward with their education as they look forward to college and career. So I just, I know that 2 positions out of 4 is really crazy, and through this tech ed program, and I don't really see how you're offering, an opportunity for these kids to exceed or to excel in these areas. And I would hope that as we move forward, we look to recoup some of these positions, and that's the big challenge because once they're gone, they usually don't come back. And so I hope that as we move forward, that some consideration will be made to recoup some of these positions and give kids the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your public comment. Moving on, is there anyone else with public comment this evening? I'll try one more time. Is there anyone else want to do public comment this evening? I'm seeing no more, so public comment for the first section will be done at this point. We'll move on to the main agenda and agenda number 1. Oh, we have some. So, can I get a motion to approve the minutes, for September 8th, 2020? Kevin, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay. So we have the first one there. We don't need to, okay. So on the main agenda, we have numbers, your personnel. 1 through 20. 1 through 20. I'd like to roll call number 2 on the main agenda, number 10 on the agenda. Which are coaches? Okay, the first and the second. Well, I want to agree. Under personnel, number 1, there's number 2 on the agenda, and number 10 on the agenda. I want to first and second. Correct. Correct. So I have a first and a second. This will be the coach member personnel. Any questions, any comments, any concerns? I get a roll call on personnel on the main agenda number 2 and on agenda number 10.
Ms. Dorsch? Yes. Mr. Hagan?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Ms. Lenz?
Yes.
Mr. Marburger? Yes. Ms. Valenta?
No.
Ms. Wick? And Mr. DeFranks?
Yes.
So 6 yeses and 2 noes.
So there's no pass on the roll call. Moving on to personnel, so I'll have number 1 and 3 through 20. That's the first and the second. Kevin, Kevin, second. Personnel on agenda number 1. Oh, we got us. So number 1 through 20 on the agenda, the first and second any discussion. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? That passed. So under personnel, under number 21, can I get a first and second to table number 21 on the personnel on the agenda?
Anthony, similar.
Any questions, concerns? You want it?
Yeah, it's still under review on the dates of that.
Right. It's not, it's nothing out of order.
Want to make sure the dates are correct. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's right. So I have a first and second table number 21 under personnel. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? We're going to table that. Number 22 and 23 in personnel on the main agenda. First and second. Got it? Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So pass on the 23 on the main agenda. So fitness and warrants. One bit. So I have second under personnel. Yeah, we're gonna approve all paper. We're gonna approve all, what's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. We're down to 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Already,
33. Sorry. We get a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So on the addendum number 1, Under personnel number 3, I have a first and a second to table. Kevin, second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So passed. On the main agenda under finance, I'll get a motion for number 1 through 15. Kevin, second. Any discussion on finance on the main agenda number 1 through 15? Seeing none, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? That passes. Good evening, Ms. Ferguson, I see you. Thank you for coming. You sit in the corner.
Yeah.
Let Mrs. Ferguson speak.
Yeah, well, hour drive, I didn't expect to see that long.
On the main agenda, we're under programs.
Okay. Okay, got it, I'm ready.
The regular agenda programs, and then there's a one issue. The finance, item, agenda number 1, finance. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? Now, I really want to get back in the finance going forward. Let's get finance going forward. Okay, we do want to, I try to do the names anyway. Yeah, we're on programs on the main agenda, number 1 and number 2. Can I get a first and second? Kevin? Any discussion, comments, questions? So on the main agenda, under programs number 1 and 2, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So it passes. On the main agenda under policies, so the first approving the first number 1, 2, and 3 on the main agenda. The policies, can I get first and second? Kevin, second. Have a first and second, any questions or comments?
This is Diane, I just want to verify, we're just voting to post the policies for the public to see, not voting to pass the policy. Okay. And they'll be out there for the days.
They're on the website for 30 days for comment, public comments, boards are actions. We are going to approve them or disapprove them, make that something.
So we're going to have to discuss those at November 4th, which is the next public one, which is a Wednesday.
Right, that's election days on.
So we have to discuss it before,
Or you can discuss that. Does anyone have a discussion about policies under policies 1, 2, or 3?
I don't think so.
So I have first and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? So that passes. Under buildings and grounds, I have a mark so. Under buildings and grounds on the main agenda, number 1. Can I get a first and a second?
This is the last one.
Second.
So I have a first and a second. Any discussion or comments? Under buildings and grounds, number 1, can I have a roll call vote, please?
For Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Hagan,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Ms. Lenz,
No.
Mr. Marburger,
Yeah.
Ms. Valenta, Ms. Witt, Mr. DeCurtis,
Yes.
and Ms. Dorsch.
Yes.
I have 7 yeses and 2 nos.
Thank you. So the buildings and grounds number 1 will pass. Under others, on the main agenda, number 1 through 5. The first and second. first and second, any discussion? Comments, concerns? We have the donation for the. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So that passed. Under addendum number 1, under other, number 1 through 4, can I get a first and a second? Any discussion? Yeah.
And I appreciate this jealousy of the folks, particularly the hiring expressions of about staff. The whole concept is probably different stress and because it's just really so big shout out to putting up forward to the work.
Any other discussion? Amendment number 1. So under others, number 1 through 4, I have a first and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, nay? So that passed. All right, regarding management. Okay, presented here. All right. We're gonna move to association, the Burning Upland Association. You want to speak this evening?
Hey everyone, it's Mr. Graff. Can you hear me?
Mr. Cantor, is that right?
Hey. Thanks guys, appreciate it. Wanted to thank parents for all their efforts. Know it's been a crazy year, but we appreciate all the support we're getting from parents, and especially from students. It has been a new, different, and exciting year, and the kids have really been great, accommodating all the different policies and procedures that are in place. The academic environment is different, but they're really doing a great job of making that happen for us. So I am glad to hear the board's meeting with both support professionals and the Education Association this week. As you guys are aware, it's been 105 days without a contract, and our secretaries, our building maintenance staff, our custodians going above and beyond to make sure those buildings are scrubbed clean to the best of their ability, make sure it's a nice, safe environment. Counselors are working overtime with students, nurses communicating with the Department of Health, staff, community members, answering questions, special educators and educators finding new ways to do the jobs they've done for a number of years, but doing it a different way and making it work in this environment. And we are certainly looking forward to that trick-or-treat event, that drive-in trick-or-treat event, so I do encourage everyone else to come out and take part in that. I do want to thank the board, I want to thank administration, our principals, Dr. Gross, for recognizing the instructional challenges teachers have been going through, the increase in responsibilities, the workload. I did hear last week, I wasn't able to speak, but I did hear last week that public recognition of all of his efforts to make this school year happen. Very excited to hear it last week during the public session, so I did want to take a chance to thank all of you for all those efforts and those kind words. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Graff. Administration. Dr. Curtis?
I'd just like to echo what Mr. Graff shared. I think everyone knows it's been a very, very busy year, and it's taken everybody. And, all the folks that he's pointed to, everybody work harder and very different environment. We are in week 6, which I'm proud of. As we continue to push forward, we're finding some schools are just starting to deliberate joining us tomorrow. So I think we've been at work on it. It could not have been about everybody that starts to echo Mr. Graff and share there. I do want to give a special acknowledgement to Josh Strobel, our communications director. I think he's done a phenomenal job at the start of this year. He is the person that is putting a lot of the information out for us. It's ever changing. So just want to give him a special thank you on behalf of all of us. He's done a great job in front of the community up there with all that happens. There's been so many changes and his job's been very difficult. So just acknowledge that. But that's all I thank you for that.
Just to reiterate a special thank you to Dr. Rhodes for the household overcoming six. We are really giving that donation. However, it doesn't fit with having it in the school district so closely and getting research. They trusted us, they knew that Dr. was coming through for us because we had that conversation. So our shirts are already here. We are going to be organizing those and getting them out to students. So our friends at home in LSI, those shirts will be then out in the office, so they won't be out until we go to the office to get the shirt, because we try to get to meet them as over the schools, but they're coming in additional instruction, or that they're utilizing our LSI program, or they're going to come new students with this t-shirt. So thank you again, and we'll be getting these t-shirts for you as students.
Thank you. That's all our administrative reports. Back to public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to do public comment this evening? I'll try one more time. Is there anyone who wants to have public comment this evening? Seeing none, board, we'll get that.
I found it interesting that diversity support and last week I commented that Dr. Wasser had made, so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize school nurses for their diligence over the last 2 weeks, providing information to assist various organizations and contact tracing efforts. As we face projects to give everybody business in the district, also organized the high school and centennial school counselors, recognizing their efforts for supporting their own building caseloads while covering the middle school and the elementary buildings, as well as the elementary buildings, we continue to administer universal standards to determine appropriate interventions for students that are needed additional support or engagement. So, wanted to note that so far for the stress, the governor talking about how everybody's pulling more these days and like that. For an additional effort to keep the school, so we can continue to support us. So just that. So the first issue. Second issue is the response to Mr. Maple and Mr. Scott and their comments about the tech ed permit. I agree completely with the issues that they brought up today. Tech ed is really not a elective. It is becoming more environment that should be offered. I would hope that Dr. Rose and the team will be able to spend some more time digging into what needs to be done to enhance the tech ed department within this district. I see it as an opportunity to really dig into that. And my daughter, who is an engineer, I know what kinds of skills she needed to have access to that were not present in the district at the time that she was here. And I was talking to her in the job she has right now as an engineer. She's utilizing and needs tech ed education in the form of computer programming and technology. It's not just engineers though, it's anyone that's going to be pursuing a job, whether it's rotax or professional in the future. You need to be literate in technology moving forward. And anyone in this job today outside the home understands that we all to some degree need to be technically competent in how you use technology, but when you pursue higher education and degrees that are a little more technical, you need another level of technical expertise and knowledge way beyond anything that just you can obtain outside in day-to-day jobs. And so I really think that just use this opportunity and notice it's a difficult time, but I would hope that someone is taking on this initiative of finding a way to enhance was being offered in the
Any other board members?
I just want to say it's one or two, I myself have to call in, I had a sick kid at home, and, they were so helpful and gave me so many things to figure out. And then actually, I had started when we were going through the Williams thing, before Mr. Scott had said anything. You know, I thought it was interesting that PhD voters were investing in a program that doesn't grow as we get older, and it doesn't concern me that I don't want to get interested in something and then not continue to offer that. So, thanks again to the teachers that continue to take our kids. It's really great.
Any other board members?
It's going to the same thing. I think, you know, whether it's Dr. Gersu, principals, teachers, paras, tech staff, students, support, I mean, the whole gamut. This is a lot harder than it looks. I think folks have made it look, I know it's not easy, but it made it look easier than it is. I have a lot of interactions with people in other districts and meeting with them as they bring their kids to these meetings and see what they're trying to go through, trying to work out some of the technologies they're trying to just have the kids get online. These folks are frustrated. So I think all the little issues we may have in executing this, it really has been amazing. And it's got to be way harder than it was from our aspect of it. But I would say this, for 4 neighboring districts, if folks I've met with this week, Mars, people always say, how are you doing in Mars? So it is an example in the area. And I know, given the little frustrations we have, it is a model. And I want to thank everybody involved, because that is not just one individual. But it shows to the students, and it takes a lot of people involved to make that happen. So thank you all.
Any other board members? It's been a great year so far. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Debbie, to move. All in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, let's adjourn.